Welcome to Basic Flight. My name's Rob Kolb, your Part 107 licensed pilot in command, and I'll be your instructor for today. And the drone we'll be using for today's lesson is the DJI Mavic 2, which is a pretty sweet drone. Okay, so we're going to go over all the buttons on the controller for the Mavic 2 and what it does to the drone in flight. We'll go over the left stick and the right stick, along with your camera buttons and every other function this controller has to offer. Okay, so we already covered pre-flight checklist in the previous module, and so we're not going to get into that too much. This is basic flight. So right now, let's look at the screen here. This is normally what's going to pop up before you fly. So you want to go through here, especially your compass. You want to make sure everything looks okay on the screen here. At the top of the screen here, it needs to be in a green shade. It needs to say, ready to go, GPS. The second thing we want to do is we want to make sure we're in positioning mode, or position mode. And what that does is that make sure you have sensors on the front and the rear of the drone. As long as you have those two things, you're ready to launch. So let's go over to the other buttons on this controller here. This button is your return to home button. So if you lose line of sight, or if anything happens weird during your flight, you can press the return to home and it'll bring you home. The only thing is, it's gonna return the drone to its home point. So you might want to click on this GPS here, and the H, the home point, is where it's gonna fly itself back to. Let's stick on this menu for a little bit. Let's fly the drone about 100 feet away. Let me gain some altitude here. Let's get us up to, 100 feet or so. Here's your height right there, 100 feet. And let's fly away. Flying away, and you can see this path right here on the drone, right? So this indicator here is where the drone is. This indicator here is where you are, and if you hit that return to home button, that's where it'll bring you back to. Take notice of the indicators on the screen right now. At the very top it says strong wind, fly with caution, and then in red, high wind velocity, fly with caution. Okay, so now let's launch the drone. The way you need to engage the motors is you take the left and the right stick and you press them down and in. And now you can see the motors have started on the drone. And let's get the drone up in the air a little bit and let's go over what the left and right stick on the controller do. Okay, so now the drone's a safe distance away from us, and let's go over the left and the right stick. So we're going to point this screen back so we can see the sticks a little bit better. The left stick is your altitude control and your yaw control. So if you press up on the left stick, the drone's going to go up, pressing up, and the drone's going up. And now pressing down, and the drone comes down. Simple enough. And if you press the left stick, left or right, that controls your yaw. Yaw means that the drone will rotate in place. Basically, it's going to rotate, but it's going to stay in its same position. So let's go ahead and press left on the left stick all the way. And as you can see the drone, it's spinning now to the left, but still staying in one place. We're going to let off on that. And now we're going to press the left stick to the right. And same thing, it's going to spin in one place, but now it's going to spin to the right. And that's basically what your left stick does. Now let's get into the right stick. Your right stick controls pitch and roll. So pitching is the same thing as moving forward. You can pitch forward and you can pitch backwards. So now we're going to press up on the right stick and it's going to move the drone forward. We're going to let off on that stick. The drone will self-stabilize, enter into a hover, and now we're going to pitch backwards, pressing down on the right stick, which is going to bring the drone back to us. And we're going to let off on the stick. The drone's going to self-stabilize, enter into a hover, and now we're going to go over rolling. Rolling is pressing left and right on the right stick, and basically what happens is the drone's going to travel in a straight line to the left and to the right. So let's go ahead and let's roll to the left, and the drone's going to start moving in a straight line directly to the left. We're going to let off on the controller. The drone's going to self-stabilize, enter into a hover, and now we're going to roll to the right. So we're going to press right on the right stick, and the drone's going to move in a straight line to the right. And so those are the basic functionality of the two sticks. Now let's go over what these other buttons do on the controller here. So I'm going to move this screen back a little bit so we can see the buttons well. This button right here is the return to home button, which we'll go over that in more detail in advanced flight. The button over here on the right hand side is your power up button. That's how you power up the controller. The button in the top left here, that's how you turn the camera on. That's how you video record. So let's go ahead and hit that button, and it'll show the red dot on the screen. Will turn on, and now you can see that it's counting under the red square there. Now you know that the video camera is recording. So we'll turn that back off. You can see the time disappears there. And now we'll go over the button on the upper right hand side of the controller. That's how you take still photos. So let's go ahead and let's hit that, and you'll hear it make the sound so you know that you've taken the picture. And now we've taken a picture. So the other buttons on the controller is the knob on the upper right hand side of the controller is how you pitch the camera. So if you press left on this knob, the camera's going to come down. And if you press to the right on the knob, the camera's going to come up. If you want to move the camera left or right, what you have to do is you have to yaw on the controller. So we're yawing to the left, and that's how you move the camera to the left or the right. And the knob is how you move the camera up and down. And the button on the top right hand side of the controller, that's what allows more or less light to come into the camera. So sometimes your picture is way too bright or maybe way too dark, and what you can do here is you roll this knob here to the left, and that's going to make your picture darker. And if you press right on the knob, that will make your picture brighter. And so that's what those buttons do. Now what we're going to do is we're going to show you how the sensors work on this drone. And we're going to start flying towards this house, and we're going to show you how the forward sensors pick up this house. So right there, that noise is that the front sensors, you can see the radar button at the top part of the screen here. Let's see here. There we go. The radar says it's sensing something 22 foot away from the front of the drone. Let's go ahead and continue to fly forward. And now you're getting a stronger reading out of the radar. You're 14 foot away from the house. Let's continue to go forward. And now the radar's really screaming, and right there, now if we press fully forward on the right stick, fully forward, it will not allow the drone to hit the building. And so that's pretty cool. Now, let's back away from the structure. Let's turn the drone 180 degrees. And let's do the same test in reverse. So as we start to pitch backwards towards the house, right there. Now you have the radar on the bottom part of the screen, which indicates that it's the rear sensor, stating that we're 21 feet away from the building. Let's continue to move rearward here. And the same thing. And now we're going to press all the way down on the right stick. All the way down. And the sensors will not allow the drone to back into that structure. Now, let's show you what happens if we turn the drone on to sport mode. So one of the buttons we did not discuss on the side of the controller is what puts the drone into either tripod mode is the T, P is the position mode, and S is the sport mode. We're going to click it on over to sport mode. If you look at the screen, it indicates that you're in sport mode, and the sensors are all red, so that means you don't have any sensors right now. So when you're in sport mode, the controllers are much more sensitive. Look at how fast it spins. Much more sensitive. And so now let's go ahead and move towards the structure doing the exact same thing. So let's move forward here. And at this point last time, the sensors would have been going off. Nothing. 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 And you got to be real careful because the sticks are real sensitive here. And it's just going to go ahead and allow that drone to crash directly into that building. So if you're in sport mode, you have absolutely no sensors. Let's do the same thing. Spin it 180 degrees. Let's pitch rearward into the house. Same exact thing. Sensors not going off. And if you continued going backwards here, you would simply crash into the structure. So that's the difference between position mode with sensors off and sport mode with sensors on. I hope you liked the module. Now let's test your knowledge.